This is the Sprinter Mom with Lashes On podcast.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I have Miss Andrea Hylton.
I'm
back to talk about all things Disneyland.
Our favorite.
So here we go. It's so exciting. This actually, I feel like we're Disneyland dreamers. We're daydreamers. And so Andrea, we have like a text thread between some friends, and Andrea will send different clips or reels or memes or whatever it may be, all Disneyland related.
I almost sent you one this morning.
Because we are huge fans.
Love
before we dive into like some logistics of Disneyland, I want to know, where did your love for Disneyland begin and at what age?
When I was a baby, I was born in California, in LA, and I only lived there for 3 months. And then we moved back to Arizona. And my parents always took me to Disneyland because back then it was super cheap for a year pass. And so when I was 1 or 2, I can't remember, we were leaving Disneyland, and I need my mom to find this picture. Mickey Mouse saw me. And because my mom had me dressed head to toe, of course. Liz would have me dressed for head to toe. I have to be 1 or 2 because my sister wasn't born yet. It was just the 3 of us. And Mickey saw me and walked me all the way to my parents' car.
Aww.
And that is when my love for Disney started, was with Mickey Mouse. And my parents said that from that moment, I loved all the Mickey Mouse shows. I would see Mickey. I would freak out. I still have it. This ginormous Mickey Mouse. It's somewhere in my parents' house. Who knows?
They haven't gotten rid of it yet?
No, because of my love for Disney. And I've always loved all the Disney movies.
Yeah.
It became a thing with my father. We watched Disney movies together all the way to now Pixar movies, which Disney's a part of. So I just have always loved it.
Yeah.
And I went for my 10th birthday. My parents surprised me for my 10th birthday. Told me I was so gullible. I still am. Told me we were going to go watch the airplanes take off and have breakfast. And I believed them. And then they got all of our suitcases out and were like, "You're going to Disneyland." So I always loved it. And here I'm getting ready to turn 40. And guess what I want to do?
Go to Disneyland.
I want to go to Disneyland.
I actually was thinking the same thing for my birthday.
See, maybe we should just go together.
It's the
Cancel
daydreaming.
everything.
Yeah, I think growing up in Arizona too, because we're so close to Anaheim, our parents took us over there. And I think like Disney, anyone who grows up and has children, it's kind of like a part of your life.
Yes.
And I have some pictures from like way in the 80s, like super retro in the parks. I remember too, when one of the Christmases, actually one of the only years we did stockings, because we're not a stocking family. Well, at least I wasn't growing up, but my parents had given us Mickey and Minnie Mouse underwear, me and my brother. And then after opening them, they're like, "Well, let's go to Disneyland and thank them," which is funny because you're like, thank them for underwear. But we actually got in my grandparents' RV and took the RV out to Disneyland and then went and said thank you. But it was one of those things where every year, at least once, we would have a reason to go. Or then high school came, and high school trips, all that stuff. And then, of course, after having babies,
it became a thing even more.
Absolutely.
You had to let your kids experience
Now, the
Disney.
reason I have you here specifically is because you're an expert. Because how many years? Well, let's see. If you could guesstimate the amount of times you went, could you give me a number? And how many years were you a season pass holder?
Oh, I think I've gone over 100 times.
Yeah, easily?
Easily.
Okay.
I'm probably in the 2s or 3s.
Okay.
Because I'm obsessed.
Okay.
One of the things when we lived in California, I was a children's pastor. And so I told, I had a really rad boss who loved Disney just like we do. And she took me as a like, "Hey, I love you. Thanks for doing ministry with me." And that was like my opening of like, oh my gosh. And she had a season's pass. Like, I need a season's pass. And for my 30th birthday, her and all of our volunteers gifted me a year's pass to Disneyland. So that's
they all chipped in together. That's so sweet.
So that's where it started, the obsession, and got really bad. And I started going, I didn't work on Fridays, so I always went on Fridays with friends. Tenley was 3 months old. Like I hauled that girl to Disneyland. I remember we went for Christmas because my mom wanted to go as a family and I didn't have a pass yet. And so that was our first introduction. Chris hated every moment. I loved every moment. Costin loved it. He was 3. Tenley was 3 months old. And then that summer is when I got my year pass. And then that's where it all started. And so, yeah, went a lot. Sometimes I'd go on Mondays. I would truck my kids up there. I had a baby and a toddler and I lived in San Diego and we'd get up super early, throw them in the car, beat the traffic, and I would get there in probably less than an hour and 15 minutes. Isn't that sad that I have down the time?
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. And I would just live it up in Disney. And I would find friends through ministry who also loved Disney. And we would go together. Yeah. And it got to the point where we'd have mom's night out at Disneyland. You and I never did Disney together. Out of the whole time that I had a pass, you and I never went to Disney.
And I would go. Yep. I would go to Disney and call you and you'd be like, oh, that's a day that doesn't work. Like it always was off on timing.
We always were off. And then I made Chris get a pass against his will. He had one for 2 years and then he was like, I can't do this anymore. He probably would have only done 1 year, but the second year we went with some friends and I swore, he does not believe me till this day. I swore his pass was still activated, that we had one more day for him. And we got there and it had expired.
No.
And he was like, our friends were waiting for us. It was a big deal. And so I was like, we cannot, like, you have to buy a pass. Like, there's no ifs, ands, and buts. They are waiting for us. And he's like, you did this on purpose. You just wanted me to get a pass.
Instead of getting him like a day ticket, you were like, we need the full year season pass.
Yes, because you need to come live it up with your wife and your children.
Yes.
And he loved it. For the holidays, he loved the Halloween aspect of it. He really liked to go a lot then.
Oh, fun.
Christmas, he was okay if he didn't go. He just doesn't like the crowds. And that's Disneyland.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it. I was like, get out of my way. Here's my stroller.
Here we go. Have you ever cried at Disneyland?
Right? Like
out of like tears of happiness.
Oh, okay. I was like, sadness? No. I think I was really good about doing a Disney day with each of my kids. So Costin got him a lot at the beginning because he was older.
Yeah.
He was so young. So when she was able to start not needing the stroller, I could just walk around with her. We then did it with her. I think my first time that I went with Costin, I cried when we took our picture at the castle because it was just like such a mom moment of like, oh my gosh. And he was having so much fun with me. It was just such a precious moment. And then I went again when Tenley was sick and when she got better. We celebrated by going to Disneyland with our really good friends, Bethany and her girls, because our kids are each a month apart.
Oh, nice.
And so she walked that trial with me. And so she's like, we need to go celebrate that Tenley's healthy. And so we have a picture of us all in the front of the castle and Tenley standing. And then I start crying because it's just such a big moment for Tenley.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 2 times that I've cried with my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have had a tantrum here and there just to get a pass again, but
I think,
how about you?
When we first started taking Brooklyn, I think we took her as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like every year after, then we added Gavin. Then when I was pregnant with Madison, we went again because we were like, okay, can we like keep their ages 3 and under or, pay for 3 passes versus whatever. Yeah. And so it was like trying to like plan their ages, but also like what they like. And I remember taking Brooklyn and she could really do like, surprisingly, she could do more rides than I expected. Mm-hmm. But we were in the Winnie the Pooh ride and she just wanted to ride it again and again and again. And that trip, I cried because every time we would see a princess or like be on a certain ride or whatever, I think the memory of my parents having me there and then taking her there just made me like tear up. Mm-hmm. And then sure enough, since I've taken my kids back and back, like I tear up. Like as we're walking out or as we're walking in thinking, I can't believe I have the opportunity to do this, especially because we've added kids along the way and so it gets expensive. But my favorite is taking Pima after she was adopted and she brought a friend and that was really fun. And then actually after Christian was adopted, we gifted him Disneyland trip. And him and I went back together.
Aw.
And we left, the kids were going to go to sleep. You could see the fireworks from the house we rented. And him and I went back together and we did all of the like really silly rides. Like we did the Pinocchio, the Snow White. Like we did those ones over there. And he was in awe of all of them because it was his first time ever at Disneyland in general. And then seeing some of the even oldest rides they possibly had, he was like, loved it. And that made me cry because I was like, oh, every kid deserves this, even if they're 15, 16 years old.
Seeing it through their eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I'm like, oh, it just is so touching every time.
Every time.
Hits
those heartstrings.
How do you plan for your Disney trips? Like as they're coming up when you guys used to go, which I know you were closer, but what are some things you packed? What are some things you planned ahead of time? Did you ever know about weather? Did you ever like have to, stay somewhere, or were you always able just to do a turnaround?
Sometimes I did turnarounds. When my parents came, we usually did overnight just to enjoy it more type of thing. So they would always find really fun hotels for us to stay in. So that would entail more packing type of thing. But when I did day trips, I make my kids stay the whole time.
Till the fireworks?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Till fireworks are done. I don't care till they go to sleep. Like, we are staying, we are living up Disneyland. And so I would bring their pajamas. So, and my friend Bethany would do this with me. And so we would get up, have breakfast at home. I would always pack the night before, at the time it was a diaper bag.
Goodbye, diaper bags. We don't miss those.
Nope. Of what we would need to survive the day. We'd always have breakfast at home. So I would plan for snacks and lunch at the park that I would bring in.
Okay.
And they can't turn you away. Like you're bringing in your own food. And back when I went, they were a little bit more pressure about it. So I would just say, my kid can only eat these things type of thing. But they never really asked. And so I would bring blankets, you name it. I would always bring a jacket because sometimes it just spontaneously rains.
Yeah.
And so I kind of packed for everything. So we're always an extra pair of clothes because they have a lot of water things that the kids can go play in. Yeah. So when it's hot, they can change out of that. And then Bethany and I were really good about doing dinner there. That was our splurge. We told the kids, you can have all the snacks and all the food that we bring, but dinner is going to be at Disney. And then if, say some days we were in such a rush, lunch would be at Disney, and then we would leave and go have In-N-Out, to make it cheaper. So we were really good at being strategic with our money. And so we did that a lot, but the kids really loved having Disney dinner. The mac and cheese at Disneyland is better than mom's mac and cheese.
Absolutely.
And we only went to one particular place for mac and cheese. The Jolly Holiday Bakery has the best kids mac and cheese, according to my children. And they have great desserts. So Bethany and I would also get they had sandwiches there. So we get sandwiches and a dessert while the kids had mac and cheese.
Where's the Jolly Holiday Bakery?
It's on your way to Indiana Jones. It's next to the Tiki Bar where you can get the Dole Whip. It's right before that. Kind of to the side of the castle. So we always would go back there because you could sit outside. A lot of people don't want to eat there because it's more dessert. So it's an easier place to find. We always found seating. And so we would always eat there for dinner. And then we'd go ride rides again, watch the fireworks. And then as we were leaving, we'd go change in the bathroom before we left the park, get in their pajamas. And then Bethany and I always carpooled together.
Okay.
Because she lived in Del Mar and then I just was 10 minutes away from her.
Okay.
Down. And so I would drive to her house and we would pile into one of our cars. And so that made it nice. So then driving home, we stayed awake.
Yeah, you kept each other awake.
Kids passed out. And we at least stayed awake as we drove home.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. And then if I ever went by myself with the kids, I wouldn't stay till the fireworks just because I knew I have to drive them home.
Yeah.
Here's a tip. Don't ever park at the Disney parking lot.
Okay.
It is so expensive. I've done it a few times because I didn't have to pay for it.
Okay.
In
the car, like the
lots that go up. Garden walk, which is just to the side of the park. Okay. So it's like right here, and then there's California Adventures, and then there's Disneyland. You can park there and you pay so much less for a full day. Sometimes when you stay till midnight, the guard's gone, and then you just leave for free.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's a little hidden trick that my friend taught me. And so we always parked there and just strolled our kids over.
Yeah.
And when I would go by myself, I would do that too. I wasn't scared because a lot of local people, that's what they do. And so there's a bunch of people walking with you. So I never was scared. And then there's a bathroom in there. So we'd run to the bathroom one more time before we got in the car. And then, when family came, I would do the same thing, tell my family, hey, pack all the snacks. Mainly we would do lunch and dinner at the park just because
it's special. Your family's there.
Yeah. And so we did it more that way.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, change of clothes, bring all the clothes for all the different weather, and bring tons of snacks. My favorite snacks that I have to always get when I'm at Disneyland is the popcorn.
Okay.
Oh, it's so good. Especially when they have they do like annual buckets.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so you can refill those?
Yes. I just gave my buckets away. Chris was like, come on, we need to depart from these buckets.
It's time.
People legit steal them from you. Oh. I've had mine stolen. You have to hide them in your stroller. Like I hid mine, put blankets over it, and someone went through my stroller and stole mine.
Because people go and get refills?
They're like only annual pass holders are allowed to get them. So they're just this special thing that
and then they're like maybe just collecting them.
Mm-hmm. And so someone stole mine because it was such a collect. And my poor kid cried because he was like, that's mine. And so I had to go buy another one. But they do them at different, like one time I had the alien from Toy Story.
Yeah.
At Halloween, they did a big, from Snow White, the witch's pot, and had like the goo hanging out.
Yeah.
One year they did for Christmas Mickey Mouse. That one's the one that got stolen. I was so livid.
A hot commodity.
I cried over that because I was really mad. I was just like, how could you take this from a kid? And you get free refills. You just have to present that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they still do that. They might not. But they did it when I went.
Yeah.
And then their churros.
You have to have a churro.
Epic. The baguettes. I can't ever say it right. Baguettes.
Yes.
I didn't experience that until
baguettes or beignets.
Beignets.
I'm like, wait, I think baguettes is.
I almost sent you a reel of the beignet. It was 3 years, and I was like, oh, it represents the 3 of us. We need to go.
My parents love those.
They're so good, and there's secret places where you can get those where they're super fresh. They're usually the one that I always went to was in the New Orleans area where the train loads. There's a secret restaurant back there, and they're freshly made there. So my friends would always be like, I learned these tricks from my friends. They were like, we're going to go here. And then I would always get them before they closed down to nibble on my way out with a Starbucks coffee.
Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. I want to take a second and thank Hanai Coffee and Cocktails for sponsoring my podcast. This is such a cute place over on the corner of 35th Avenue and Southern. It is very Hawaiian themed because Hanai in Hawaiian actually means adoption. And part of the proceeds that we receive at Hanai go towards Ohana's adoption program, finding kids and teens their forever family. It's a great coffee for a cause, a place that you would want to be for live music, community, friendly customer service, and it's super kid friendly. So Hanai, 35th Avenue and Southern, we hope you can visit someday. Speaking of like learning things from your friends and probably people that have been for years or whatever, are there like hidden or secret areas of Disneyland? Everyone always talks about hidden or secret stuff.
Yeah.
Are there any ones that you learned of in your time as a season pass holder?
Yeah. The hidden Mickey ears.
Okay.
Finding them all throughout the park. Like there's some in California Adventures, or more in Disneyland. There's some on like Pirates in the Caribbean.
Okay.
As you're walking, you'll see the ears, and they can be in plants. It's crazy. One funny fact that I learned about Disneyland, and I didn't experience it until she took me over at Disneyland. where they have the water show.
Yeah.
And,
Like Phantasmic.
yeah.
Yes.
And that island. What is it?
Is it Davy Crockett's Island?
Yes.
Okay. No. Or Swiss Family Robinson.
So one of them.
No, I think it might be
with
Davy
the big
Crockett.
white boat that my
Yes.
dad never took me on.
Yes.
That I always want, and he took my cousin on. I was so mad. Clearly, I have issues. And
like years ago.
You get on this boat and it takes you across, and there's a whole land over there where the kids can play. There's these tunnels.
Yeah.
That's a hidden gem that people don't really know about unless you go and explore it.
Tom Sawyer's Island. Tom Sawyer's Island. That's Bob Goff's office.
Yep. But what's hilarious is Disneyland and California Adventures have a ton of cats.
Oh.
And it's because they take care of their mice problem and their rodent problem. If you really think about it, there's no rodents in either place. But you'll mysteriously, early in the morning and late at night, see these kitty cats come out of nowhere. But they live, I don't know how they get over there, but they live on that island. And I don't know, you'll see tons of them just walking around on the shore. And I don't know how, they must have tunnels for them. I've seen some in California Adventure over by the raft ride. Okay. They'll just pop out of nowhere. They don't bother you. Like they literally are there to do they're employed by Disneyland. By Walt Disney.
They're the hairiest employees.
I've learned tricks with rides in Disneyland, Thunder Mountain, the goats.
Yeah.
When you're going up, you're supposed to, I'm going to reenact it. So say the goat's right there. You're supposed to like watch the goat as the ride is continuously going. Like you stay focused on the goat. And then when you can't see the goat again, you whip around and it gives you this rush. And it makes the ride even like insanely more fun.
Okay.
And Guardian of Galaxy, that's like my favorite ride.
Oh yeah.
Tower of Terror used to be, but now it's Guardian of Galaxy. That one, they have 6 different drops. I've only done 4 out of the 6. Every song is a different drop.
Oh,
so
I
there's
didn't realize
4
that.
elevators. And like, I tried all 4
depending on which one you go on.
So we've done all 4 elevators and experienced 4 different songs. And so, but someone told us there's a total of 6.
Okay.
But for real, all 4 were different drops.
Wow.
The ABC for Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 is probably the worst drop because it drops you really far down and which I love the rush.
I love that too.
That was a fun gem that I've learned. I learned what times to go.
Okay.
My friends really taught me like, here's the time you go, here's the time you don't go. We never went during the summer because everybody's there.
Yeah.
We'd say the Arizonians are there.
Yeah. It's true.
It's true. And so I always did a year pass that ended on my birthday because I was like, well, I'm good. And then it reactivated again in August.
But that technically was a blackout date anyway. So you wouldn't have gone in like June.
Yeah. And so I always went in September because it's pretty quiet.
Totally. That's when we used to go too.
Everybody's back in school, even in California.
Before you get into Halloween.
Yep.
Yes.
And then it gets busy. October, November, and December, I usually go just to experience, see what decor they put up and all of that.
Holidays.
And then January, I go again because it's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
February, I went with Crystal on Super Bowl Sunday. Ghost Town.
Best time to go.
Best time. We went Friday and she was there all weekend, but I went with her on Friday and it was quiet. And then she said on Sunday, on actual Super Bowl day, it was like a ghost town still.
Oh my gosh.
So they got a little busier on Saturday. So I was like, okay, but I didn't have the weekend, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then February was good.
I've seen February being a good time before you get into that spring break time. Or end of January too.
Yes. Beginning of March is still safe.
Okay.
Because California goes to spring break into like end of March, beginning of April. So you're still a little bit good.
Okay.
And then mid-March is when all the Arizonans come back. And then from there, it's just crazy town.
Yeah.
Like it's just I'm prepared for lines, all of that. But
Well, when you get prepared for Lions, and it is crazy town, but you still have attended, what's something that, and I'll tell you mine, but what's something you've learned to go on first? Like, are there ones that the lines build up or like that you rush in to get on?
So California Adventure, we would do Cars.
Absolutely.
Buzz Lightyear. Incredibles and Guardian of the Galaxy.
Okay.
All in the morning. Because then they're ridiculously. Cars was always our first hit because that ride always breaks down.
Really?
And the wait time just increases. There's been times where it was almost a 2-hour wait.
When we went in June with the Sauceda family, it was, I want to say, a 2.5 hour wait. And it was miserable and hot, and we would send the kids off to go like eat and do whatever and take a break, and then they would join us back in line, and but it's so fun. It was worth it. But worth it. In hindsight, we would have gotten like probably a pass, fast pass.
With kids, I always did the pass. I would pay the money to do it because I don't want to wait with them.
Yeah.
But when we would come, just us girls or just us adults, we didn't. We were like, we don't have kids.
Yeah,
we'll wait. We'll talk.
Yeah.
And Disneyland, Indiana Jones always seems to build up and break down. Thunder Mountain, Matterhorn, and Space Mountain. We would always try to hit first. And then a kid won the other buzz in there. We would try to hit because that would get pretty built up too. Pirates and Splash Mountain, which is now Princess of the Frog. I would take my chances on that. Okay. Because you could literally walk by it and be like, 20 minutes for Pirates, jump in line.
Yeah.
30 minutes for Splash Mountain, totally fine. Those were the ones that I would just kind of play around with the kids. I wouldn't really it was not, we'll be fine if we don't ride it.
What about like the castle rides that are so much older? Like I feel like Mr. Toad's Wild Adventure and Peter Pan also book up really fast.
Yes. When the kids were younger, we would do Peter Pan, but I always had a pass. So I would always just schedule those ones because both my kids really loved Peter Pan.
Okay.
Toads was not a hit until they got older. They looked at it more scary to them, which is funny because when you ride it, I'm like, it's not scary.
I think the Snow White one is a little creepy too.
And the Snow White one too. Snow White always never
had
a ride.
Pinocchio with like the donkeys and stuff. Like that's a heavy one.
Those we would always ride. We would go, when we got into that area, we would always go to Peter Pan first because he was always the longest.
Yeah.
And it's such an epic ride.
Yeah.
And then we would do Snow White, we would do Dumbo, and then we do the boat.
Okay.
Where you can see all the little houses, and it's a good let's have a snack. Like cool down type of thing. We do that, or It's a Small World for hey, we're going to take a minute. Another ride where we would be like, okay, the kids need to just sit and kind of just calm down and sit and eat a snack. We'd ride the train around the whole park. We would ride it a good 2 times because that would take up 45 minutes. And it would give them time to just kind of hydrate, eat a snack.
Be in the shade.
Yes, rest their feet because we'd always do that after lunch. Her and I would be like, we would have lunch and then we'd be like, okay, kids, we're going to go jump on the train and ride it around a few times so we can cool down. And then we would purposely get off wherever we wanted to ride next.
Okay. That's smart.
Yeah.
Do you, would you visit Toontown when your kids were younger? And have you been back to it since they were older?
I did it when they were younger. It was funny. I was showing Kendall some pictures of Disneyland. The last time I went was before COVID. And so I haven't
Andrea.
I know I need to go now for my 40th now that I think about it.
Oh
Sarah.
My gosh. You haven't been since before COVID.
I need to go. It's so sad.
Oh, that's a little heartbreaking.
I know. I'm very
Wait, me too. Well, at least Disneyland because remember Ryan and I took the kids.
You were there.
We were there 2 days before it shut down.
I was like, how are you there?
Yeah, that's when we started seeing all the news. Yeah. And Ryan and I were going to go back on Friday, I remember. Because we had we had, a few day passes. And then we started watching all the news happen and they were getting a little crazy. And Ryan's like, I really think this might be turning into something.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of driving home on Saturday, we went home Friday.
Yep.
And then sure enough, it all shut down.
And it didn't open for a really long time.
Yeah.
And that's when I didn't renew, because you renewed and some people renewed for the whole year and never got to use it. And that was how you kept your pass. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, it's so much money. And that's when I stopped, because then they upped it. But if you would have stayed renewing for your year pass as a California resident, they kept it they grandfathered you in. So that's the only part that screwed me over, was I should have just stayed. I should have done it. I just couldn't logically think it was right.
No. And I think when you're spending that much money and you have like no certainty of when it will open again.
Yeah. So last time I went with my kids, I took them one more time. So Tenley was in kindergarten and Costin was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
We had no stroller. They had their passes on. I had a backpack, and we stayed till midnight.
Yeah.
We rode hard because we all knew it was their last chance to go with me.
Yeah.
Because I was going to go one more time with friends, one last time as a girls trip. And I only had one more time with them and then one more time with girlfriends. And then my pass was done.
Okay.
And so we did that. And so I actually saw pictures. I put the Tenley on Splash Mountain that year.
Mm-hmm.
She hates Splash Mountain. I was showing pictures this morning. I'll show you afterwards. She literally she made me buy her a poncho. It was not even raining, but for this ride, she needed a poncho. So I bought her a poncho, and she literally has it like this, and you just see her eyes.
Oh my gosh.
And she's pissed at me. And then I have a picture of when the ride's starting, and she's like, she's not even watching. And we're in the way back. We're not even in the great spot for the ride. There's Costin and I with our arms up, and we're in the worst part of the ride. Like, no one wants to sit in the back. I'm a front seater.
Are you?
I'm a front seater on Splash Mountain.
See,
Get me wet.
Splash Mountain is the only one that even though it's like nostalgic, I don't have to go on it, depending on if I want to be wet or not.
Yes.
Like, I'm the same way. And I'm never like a poncho person unless it's like legitimately raining, but I take whatever jacket I have or backpack I have, and I actually will hide underneath it, mostly to save my hair, but also because I'm like, I don't want to be wet. Like, I don't know. It's just one of the things that I'm like, I'll take a little splash on the side. Like when the boat comes down and pirates and you feel a little splash. Like, I can do that, but I can't. The Splash Mountain is
We always did it when we were super hot or end of the day.
Yeah.
Is how we always did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really pretty at night because you can see all of Disneyland.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Before you do the big drop. So that's pretty cool.
What is if you could like choose any ride, like you could only pick one ride and one place to eat, no matter the cost, what would it be?
In California Adventures, it would be the Incredibles ride.
Okay.
I just love that ride. Front row. I have to be in the front row.
Okay.
Nowhere else. Food. I've eaten some really great places there. I'm more of I mean, their dinners are okay. Like, I'm more of like, I really love their treats.
Yeah.
So I think it would just be, I can never replace a churro from Disneyland. So I think I always beeline for that churro and their corn dogs. Their corn dogs are really epic too. So I think those would be the two things that I would like, I have to go experience.
I even like their pretzels and cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in the little Goofy's candy, the red balls that are sour.
Oh, I've never had those.
We'll have to go. Those are fun to like snack on while you're walking around. So those would be my, like, I have to go. When I go back, I'll make sure to get those 3 things. And a baguette.
When I always tell parents, like, I used to remember it used to be they were like frowned upon like snacks and stuff, which now they're way more open to it. But I used to like shove it way down either in the stroller or whatever bag I'm carrying. Yeah. And like my water bottles try to cover it up. And but my biggest thing and what I always tell parents is my kids, especially when they were younger, they didn't know where the treats were coming from. And so on Amazon or online or at the grocery store, I would find Mickey Mouse suckers or I would find Disney themed snacks that then I would pull out and be like, look, here it is. And so instead of buying the $11 sucker, we're sucking on one of those. And I've never bought a balloon.
Neither have I.
I think the photo ops are super cute.
Yes.
But I just can't do the cost.
No.
I think I bought a bubble machine once or twice.
Me too.
Because they were small. It gave us some time.
Yep.
But it always broke. And so then any bubbles I would have brought, I would buy my own machine and take it with me.
One trick that a friend taught me was for holidays, birthdays, to tell people, oh, get my kid a Disney card because they can spend it at Disneyland.
Oh.
So my kids always got a Disney gift card.
Yeah, like a gift card.
Yeah. And so I tell them, hey, save it for a Disneyland trip. And that's how they would buy stuff. So Costin, when he was young, was so obsessed with cars and the Planes movie. So in California Adventure, he would literally save all his money and go in and go cash it in to buy a car there. He had every single car from Cars, every single plane from Planes, and he would line them up at home. He would take one with him when we would go back to Disneyland because he was like, okay, I don't have this one. Tenley collected all of the plush Disney, plush princesses.
Okay.
That was what she would spend her gift card on. So I was really good. Chris and I were really good about like, okay, we're not going to spend our money.
Yeah.
But if you get gift cards or
whatever
or money, if you want to save it for when we go to Disney, you can spend it. I'm not going to fight you on it.
Yeah.
So that's what they would do. They would bring it, and that's how we made them spend. But I refused to buy it. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Of course, grandparents would buy them things. But that's how
they're allowed to.
Yep, they're allowed to.
I think we're always, every vacation we do, whether it's like a theme park or somewhere else we're visiting, we always say you get one thing. And we typically say like, here's your budget. It's usually like $20-$25.
I think it's the best way to do it.
And you get your one thing. I think the funniest part is watching my kids watch me buy more than one thing. And they'll be like, that's not fair. And I'm like, I am mom. We're paying to get you here.
I can buy whatever I
will
want.
never forget at, I think it was, we did go after COVID. We did go because we went with the Sussy. Was it last summer or the summer before? 2 summers ago. Okay. So I went in the summer of 22, I want to say. I went the summer of 22. But we, in California Adventure, we went by a cart, or like, you know how sometimes the carts go in and out, or stores will change like their storefront or whatnot. And I found a cart that was all Lilo and Stitch stuff. And it was Stitch items and Stitch this and Stitch that. And so I legitimately like overbought, and come to think of it, and I got this really cute backpack, but the backpack's not a great backpack. Like, it's kind of floppy, but I wish now that I would have like sent some stuff home, like tried to like ship it home, because then you never find it again.
No,
like never. Sometimes they come out with these things and then
it never comes back.
It's gone.
I know. I collect Starbucks cups, as you know, and so I always get the ones. I have Disneyland, I have California Adventure, I have Disney World. And then I have their Halloween ones because they're iconic. They come and go. Yeah. They're not like, they probably have new ones that I'm going to have to buy when I go back.
You've got to get it while you can.
Yeah. One secret place that is very hard to get into at Disneyland, like you have to know someone that knows someone that knows someone to get you in, is Club 33.
I have heard of that. Yes. And like you literally have to know someone.
Or pay the insanely ridiculous amount membership for it. So my friend Bethany, her husband is an IT guy, and he had a client that had the membership. And for him doing work, he's like, hey, why don't you take your wife and a few of your friends? And so she called and was like, hey, it's going to be a date night for all of us couples. Do you want to go to Club 33? And I was like, what? But you have a dress code. So here I'm going to Disneyland and I have to dress fancy.
Really?
You cannot, like what we're wearing, we could not. I had to hide my ears. Like I had to put them in my backpack. I had to be very fancy. I had to have nice shoes on. So I had my tennis shoes in my backpack to switch out. Chris had to wear a nice shirt and nice jeans. And then there's a secret door, and you ring the doorbell and you say they give your name and you say, and they let you in, and then you have to wait downstairs, and then they come down and get you, and then you walk up these stairs, and it's upstairs, and it's a restaurant. People are gonna hate me. It's not what you think.
Okay.
Like, I did not see one celebrity, so I was so disappointed.
Oh, that is disappointing because we are celebrity people.
I love my celebrities. Yes, we love our celebrities. So I was kind of disappointed in that. You can't take pictures.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
not
that's
allowed,
fair.
but I did. You know
Andrea,
me.
We won't share this info so you don't get banned.
And it's at the time it was the only place before Star Wars that you can have alcohol.
Oh, that's right.
So we all were having a grand old time before that. But it was a 5-course meal. That's like
5-course meal.
That's like you have to go in with that amount. So we were like stuffed to the max when we left. It's very old, classic looking.
Okay.
It really was not what I was expecting.
Kind of like would you kind of say it was like prohibition, like 1940s,
yes,
or 1920s, like secret area? Yeah,
like the secret hidden
like
place that
looking.
Everybody talks about that you can't talk about. The food was really good. Okay. I will give them that. I guess I was expecting such a hoity-toity experience because all these celebrities go and all that, and it wasn't that way. And so it was just like, I felt like I was just going to a really nice restaurant.
Okay.
Inside Disneyland.
Yeah.
But the bathroom was so funny because they have like a little attendant for you, and you name it, they have everything for you. Like, they're like, the lady's like, do you want to floss your teeth now? And I'm like, should I? Like, so they're flossing.
Yes,
like,
I will.
Yes, I will. Would you like some mouthwash now? Would you like some lotion before? Like, it was the craziest experience. Like, but yeah, so that was, I love that we got to do that because now, I mean,
because you experienced it. Like most people will never get to do it
because it's really expensive membership. Like thousands of dollars. Like thousands.
For the year. Is it like a country club membership?
Yes, but it's like insanely ridiculous.
But does it get you passes to the parks too?
No, it just gets you into that. You have to then buy your pass.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, because it's so secretive. It's a secretive thing. So that's why you pay the thousands and thousands of dollars to do it and then go buy I mean, if you can buy it, you can easily buy a year's pass.
Yeah, totally.
Type of thing.
Okay, we need to make a friend of someone that will invite us and we'll go.
We're turning 40. We would love to go.
And we won't take any pictures secretly.
I will not. I promise.
I will. This time I won't.
I won't. I promise I won't. Just so I can go back again.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
You know me and my pictures. Got to sneak them in there.
Oh my gosh. Now, would you ever, and I'm going to not throw my dad under the bus, but my mom and dad went to Disneyland, I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly. But my dad has leg issues, like nerve issues, nerve damage in his back, different things. I don't know. There's all this medical stuff. Regardless, his legs only last a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I remember after the trip, my mom, and the fact that my parents can go at 60 or whatever the age was, and then still like enjoy it and enjoy each other. I'm like, that is so cute. Ryan, come on, get on board. But my mom afterwards was kind of sad. And I'm like, Mom, why? And she's like, I think that's the last time that your dad will be going to Disneyland because of all the walking that it is. And I said, Mom, go get like the wheelchair, do that. And she was like, he would never do that. And I'm like, oh, like, would you ever consider like health-wise or whatever? Like, I know sometimes recently you want to like slow down your body. Like, would you ever consider like just getting a pass and going through in a wheelchair? Or are you kind of like, no, I'm booking it. This is what we're going to do. We're going hard.
No, I would do it.
You would
because
do it?
It gets you in the front of the line, Sarah. I had it with Tenley.
Okay. You got her a pass. Like, is it a doctor's note?
Yeah. So like you get a doctor's note and then they tag at the time her stroller. So I got to go to the front of the line every time. So it's a great thing to have, you know, and then they literally, I've seen people in wheelchairs, they get all the way up there and then they help you on the ride and then you get back off and someone's pushing me around the whole time. Yeah. Win-win for me.
That's amazing. I know Ryan would do that because when we were at we went to SeaWorld together. Cause I was like, no, we've been to parks together. We've been to SeaWorld together. But when Ryan had like his back went out and he rode a scooter through SeaWorld, and I was like, you are embarrassing. And like, now I look back and I'm like, it's funny. Like he was on a scooter and he left me with all the children and then went and got acupuncture because he was trying to fix his back. And I was like crying. It was lovely. But I'm like, yeah, that would be kind of a benefit.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad, pull yourself together. Get the pass. Just get the wheelchair.
Do it all. My dad's the same way. I don't know if it's just because they're getting older and it's like, I mean, if I was like, hey, Dad, we're going to go one more time as a family, he would do it. He actually liked it when we did the Halloween night because you have to have a special pass. And so there's only less than 2,000 people in the park. And he really loved that because it was less people. The parade, you could sit down.
Special experience.
Yeah. He always says he would redo it just to do that again.
Okay.
Because that was such a great experience for him.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's the only way I'd get my dad back and Chris.
Yeah, totally. I've had some experiences, especially like around Christmas. Ryan's dad took us one year and it was like 2 days after Christmas. And Preston was little, Brooklyn was a baby. I can't remember if we had Gavin yet or not, maybe. And it was rough, even with the stroller, like so many people. And those are the kind of situations that scar Ryan.
Yep.
And I'm like, babe, it's not always this way. Or like you have to go into it open-minded knowing I'm going to wait in lines. And it is what it is. Yep. But that's the kind of stuff that Ryan has a hard time with.
That and when it's hot.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 times Chris is just like, I'm squished. I'm hot. There's people everywhere. And
that was actually the first time I saw Mike Sauceda be cranky. He's like the most happiest, outgoing, lovely person. And he literally was so cranky because in June, it's freaking hot.
Yep.
It's so hot.
But even in September and October, it's our hot season in California.
September gets hot
and Chris would be so livid. He's like, I'm sweating. And there's times where we only went at night. We would be like, okay, we're done with work. Everybody get in the car. Let's go to Disneyland for the night and have dinner up there. And we would do that. And that's when he would enjoy it because it was cooler.
Yeah.
And a lot of people leave by then.
Yeah.
So those are my little tricks to get my husband there.
Oh my goodness.
Because he does not love Disneyland like we do.
Oh my gosh. That's so fun.
My kids love Disneyland the way I do. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
I have them too.
I have. And it's funny because like even if the kids aren't super Disney, I'm like, there's so much to do and so many rides that it's just an incredible time. Even if you're just snacking on snacks. Heaven forbid.
Like, another fun tip. Sorry, all these tidbits are coming to me since you asked me.
It's like Disneyland is popping back into your mind.
It's all like flooding. So during the weekday, they're only open till 10. But on the weekends, they're open until midnight. So one of the things that I love to do when I would go with the girls is, so we always did it the night before my birthday.
Okay.
That's how I always loved celebrating my birthday. And so I found out that if you got in line at 11:55, they literally have to allow you to ride even though everything shut down at midnight, they legally have to let you on a ride because you're in line. So I always got in line at 11:55.
Which ride?
Usually use Space Mountain. Okay. I love Space Mountain. Or Matterhorn because it's just pretty to see Disneyland at night like that. So those are the 2 that I would get in line. And then I would always be like, it's my birthday at midnight. And can I get the front row? And they would always put me in the front row.
Oh, fun.
I was like, because by the time the ride's over, it'll be officially my birthday the next day. And so I always tell people like, go get on a ride at 11:55. Yeah. Like if you're there and your kids are old enough, go do it. It's so fun to say it's midnight. Like, oh my gosh, we survived Disney at midnight. And then you can go to Starbucks. They serve till 1 a.m.
Wow.
And so we would go and get all of our caffeine to get us home. And they have until I think 1:32 to get everybody out of the park.
Wow.
So you could literally take your time walking out of there.
Wow.
And they don't rush you. You just are like, you could just be strolling. And as long as you're making your way, they do not pressure you to leave.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's another secret.
I would definitely have to take a nap if I got on anything at 11:55 at night because I'm like a 9 o'clock, 10 o'clocker.
Would have to now.
Yes, it's been a little while.
It's been a while.
We need a nap and then we'll go all out
Those
all
were
night.
in my younger years.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for coming and chatting all things Disneyland. Our favorite place to go.
Yes.
And one we hope to go back to.
All of you, vote for our husbands to send us to Disney for 40.
The problem is I have a lot of kids to pay for.
Just us go. Let's just let the moms go.
Totally.
Yeah, like
that
would
be
work.
amazing.
I
know,
will.
right?
I wish.
Well, any tips you guys need on Disneyland, reach out to Andrea. You can find her on Instagram. She'll be tagged. But she has all of the things to tell you. And actually,
apps.
I've asked you for tips before, and then people have asked me, and I actually wrote out like a note on my phone. And so randomly I'll have a mom reach out and be like, hey, what are your tips? We're going for the first time. And I'll be like, oh, let me send this note. Yeah. And it just helps with all the things. So I've got my little things for Magic Kingdom. Yeah, we'll talk about Disney World another time.
Yeah, apps, and even there's a lot of Instagrammers who that's what they solely do. Yeah. And I follow them. They're the ones that give me
tips and tricks.
Yeah. All the tips and tricks too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yes, see you soon.
Thanks for joining us today for the Sprinter Mom with Lashes On podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.